So Carl Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I really want you to let that land. Now, most people hear this and they think it sounds ominous. I hear freedom because it tells us this, that nothing is wrong with you. Nothing ever was, babe. And if you really let that land, you can feel it. The subtle exhale in your chest, the moment that your shoulders soften, the moment that your body realizes it doesn't need to brace. Because today we're talking about awareness as the alchemy. And alchemy isn't about turning lead into gold. Alchemy is about changing state. It's water becoming steam, pressure becoming propulsion, something rigid becoming fluid again. When something unconscious becomes conscious, it doesn't need to be fixed, it transforms. Just like ice doesn't need motivation to melt, it just needs heat. And awareness, babe, is that heat. And what you can see no longer controls you. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to another amazing episode here on Spiritually Kinky. I'm Dustin, your host. But before we go any further, I want to orientate you. This isn't a take notes and try harder kind of episode, babe. This is a doorway. On one side of that doorway is surviving, coping, managing, endlessly working on yourself. On the other side is authorship, choice, play, pleasure, purpose. And if this work ever feels heavy or serious, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you've been trying to think your way out of a structure that was never meant to be solved, only outgrown. So for those of you that don't know me, if you're here, my name is Dustin Wheeler. And let me be clear, I am not here to fix you. I'm not here to heal you. And I'm definitely not here to turn you into a better version of yourself. You already manifest perfectly. You're already it, babe. And you always have. You manifest patterns, you manifest relationships, you manifest money stories, emotional cycles, you manifest entire identities. Not because you're broken, but because you're powerful and unconscious. What I do is I help people remember who the fuck they are beneath their conditioning, their survival patterns, and their self-improvement identities so that they can consciously create instead of constantly correcting and trying to improve themselves. I teach awareness, integration, and authorship, babe. Not so you become someone new, but so you can stop betraying who you already are. This work lives at the intersection of truth, pleasure, play, power, and purpose. Structure and play, science and soul, spirituality with a little teeth. Because creation, babe, isn't meant to feel like punishment. It's meant to feel like expression, like desire moving through a regulated body. And when you understand the structure that you're living inside of, life stops feeling heavy and starts feeling intentional. Power, babe, doesn't come from effort, it comes from permission. So let's talk about suffering versus the observer. So suffering isn't caused by pain, it's caused by identification. It's the moment a thought tightens your chest, the moment an email, a text, or silence makes your stomach drop. The moment you don't just feel an emotion, the moment that you become it. Now, when you believe these thoughts are true, when you believe the emotions are who you are, when you believe the story in your head is reality, babe, that's suffering. Freedom doesn't come from changing the story. It comes from stepping back and realize you are not the story. You are the one aware of it. Remember Neo in the Matrix when he's trying to bend the spoon? And the little kid says, it's not about trying to bend the spoon. It's about realizing that there is no spoon. That's the power. So that shift, babe, from character to observer is the beginning of choice. Suffering lives inside the story. Power lives outside of it. And babe, you were the one that created the story. You were never broken. You were just structured. And let me tell you that nobody is born believing that they are unworthy. That belief is learned in moments when love felt conditional, when being quiet felt safer than being seen, when wanting more came with consequences. And this is where we learned if I dim, I'll be loved. If I try harder, they'll finally choose me. Your nervous system learned what kept you safe. Your identity learned what earned you love. Your unconscious learned what to avoid. And those learnings, babe, became a structure. Structure isn't bad, it's just running on outdated instructions. And outdated instructions don't just disappear because you've outgrown them, they keep running in the background. Tight shoulders, shallow breath, hesitation right before visibility. And outdated instructions don't mean that you're wrong. It just keeps you replaying what you've already survived. Babe, you don't need more healing. You need an update. So let's talk about the unconscious, because so much of the personal development out there is trying to teach you how to break things, how to overcome things, how to get rid of things, how to fight things. But the truth is, babe, is that your unconscious mind is not your enemy. It's a mirror, and it's a perfectly obedient one. It reflects what it believes to be true. It's like light passing through a stained glass window. The light itself is neutral, but the colors on the wall depend on the glass. Your reality is not punishing you, babe. It's reflecting you. And the world isn't happening to you, it's responding to you. And when you want to change the world around you, you have to change the world within you. And here's where most people get stuck, is they get stuck in awareness without integration. Here's where most people stall. They become aware, they see the pattern, they name the belief, they can explain it beautifully, intellectually, with a conscious knowing. They journal about it, they teach it, but then they stop. And awareness without integration becomes observation without power. You don't need to just see the pattern, you need to restructure what it's running from. Otherwise, you're just going to stay conscious but unchanged. And this is where spirituality gets heavy, dry, serious, the never-ending healing loop. Not because you're deep, but because awareness without integration actually starves pleasure. Awareness just opens the door, but integration is what allows you to walk through it. So why does reality feel so real? Well, reality feels solid because repetition hardens perception. The same thoughts, the same emotional responses, the same meanings, the same money ceiling, the same relationship dynamic, the same moment where you almost go all in and then pull back. And over time, this reflection feels like the truth. But babe, it's not the truth. It's just training. You change the lens and reality reorganizes without force. Reality isn't fixed, perception is. And here's the thing that pisses me off, because most of the trending manifestation tips, tools, techniques, teachings, they're asking you to fight your reflection. Break this part, overcome that belief, high vibe your way into a better future, smile harder, think better thoughts, gratitude your way out of a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. But babe, resistance doesn't dissolve patterns, it strengthens them. And that's shadowboxing. Swinging at reflections you think are enemies while exhausting yourself. Because your unconscious was never against you. Your unconscious was keeping you safe and protecting you. And what you resist doesn't disappear, it just recruits more energy. So we have to begin to understand that every pattern you have was created for you, by you, out of love, to keep you safe, to keep you surviving, to protect you when you didn't have any better tools. Even the ones that now feel like they're costing you everything, they had a positive intention. There are no bad parts, babe. Only loyal parts running on old instructions. The unconscious doesn't run on possibility, it runs on what is familiar. So it recreates what you've survived, not because it wants you stuck, but because familiar feels safe. Babe, you're not repeating the past, you're protecting yourself from the unknown. So what makes the work that I do different? Well, the work that I teach doesn't ask you to become someone new. It helps you step out of the oldest version of your past self and into the observer, the chooser, the youngest version of your future self. The version of you who isn't trying to earn life, but actually live it. I teach the mechanics of conscious creation and how to integrate them into your nervous system. So your power isn't theoretical. You didn't fail manifestation, babe. You're already a magical manifester. You fell for a story backed by a $74 billion industry that told you you weren't enough as you are. And I'm here to remind you of who the fuck you are. You are never the problem, babe. You are the power source. So if you're shaking your head and this landed in your heart, here's your next step, babe. Because this is the part where most people nod, feel inspired, and then go back to business as usual, back in the loop. But if you're done spinning your wheels, you're done proving your worth, you're done calling exhaustion growth, done letting your shadow kinks run the show while you call it fate, inside my school community, the spiritually kinky community for creators, I guide you through the real shift, babe. From surviving and suffering, from living as the oldest version of your past self, into becoming the observer, the youngest version of your future self. And this is where awareness becomes integration, where pleasure stops feeling irresponsible, where play becomes productive, and where purpose actually turns you on again. Now, I'm going to drop the link in the show notes, but if your body leaned in while listening, if something in you whispered, ooh, this, babe, this is your invitation. You don't need more information. You need a new position in your life because nothing in you, babe, was a mistake. Nothing in you needs to be broken, healed, fixed, or overcome. Awareness is the alchemy, babe, and you are already the magic. You are not broken. You are the creative force within, and you get to choose what you'd love to create. So, whether you're here to be a little bit spiritual, or you're here to be a little bit kinky, or maybe you're here like me to be a whole lot of both, lead with love, my friends. And in case nobody told you today, I see you, I feel you, and you are not alone. Mwah.